What is going on, survivors? Today we're going to be talking about the Thylacoleo, the bear cat that hangs around in the trees. These guys are usually found in redwoods, hanging around on the trees, killing stuff. They're kind of, they're crazy beneficial guy to have, regardless of the type of server I think that you're playing on. These small, may seem small, about the size of maybe a little bit bigger than the dire bear, but these things will pump out a lot of damage similar to that of an Allosaurus. Like, even though them being considerably smaller, their stats are quite comparable and they can be pretty vicious. They're really good travel mount. As you can see, this one moves pretty fast. They really have a really good jump ability as well. Their melee damage is awesome. You can also use equipment while you're riding on the back of them, but that's just part of the really cool features that this thing has. One of the really neat abilities is the ability to just run up objects like this. Come on, man. Making a liar out of me. There we go. So by using jump and then like the right mouse button, you can actually hop up trees and you can just scale up the tree, but then you can turn around and you have this like targeting reticle. Now the cool thing about this targeting reticle is that you can actually use this to pounce on creatures. Now, Thylacoleo is out in the wild. If you're near them and they're up on the tree, kind of like, see if I can zoom out so I can see. So if they're out in the wild, you'll see them like this. Of course, you won't see a Harv on a saddle on it, but you'll see them out here. And when you get near them, they'll jump off the tree after you. And essentially they pin you down and they sit there and do damage to you. But once they're tamed, you can actually do the same thing. You can sit up here and you can, now you can, obviously this doesn't work with like huge creatures, but you can definitely do this with a lot of the other creatures, a lot of smaller creatures. Of course, now that I'm up here, there's nothing for me to test this out on, which is a little embarrassing, but whatever. While you're on the tree though, you won't actually be able to use equipment while you're up here. That's an important thing to note. Let's see if we can perch ourselves somewhere and show you what this pounce ability really does. All right, here we have a sheep. What he does, pounces down on the sheep and you can just sit here. Now the animation is kind of weird because I'm sideways on it, but basically the Thylacoleo will sit there and gnash and kill it until you either let it go or the Thylacoleo kills it. So a lot of the smaller creatures can be hit, tackled down, and just taken out by this, making this a really good ambush critter. Not only that, but it actually has a bleed attack with its primary attack, and you can see the gushing bleed. What this does is like a 5% of their total health in 5 seconds. So it's like a 5% bleed. It's that Nash effect, the Nash effect that like, oh, actually somebody hit me with it. I think it might have been that Carno. A few animals have that Nash ability. So the Thylacoleos have it, Allosauruses have it, Gigas obviously have it. There's not a whole lot of creatures that have that Nash option, so having that is huge because it makes it so that this cat, that's not really a cat, it's kind of like a, I don't know, not really a cat, it's marsupial. Anyway, the idea is that you can take down a lot of bigger creatures with this, being able to take down even alpha hunting. If you had a few of these rolling around, it's very similar to having like a pack of like the Dionychus rolling around together, taking out very large creatures because they can just gang up on it, sit there and bleed attack it. So makes it for hunting down alpha creatures and like brute creatures, things like that, really, well, not necessarily easy, but definitely easier than it would be with some of the other critters out here. Really, this is a really good like as far as like mid-level mount, as far as size. When I say mid-level, like mid-size, this is probably one of the best ones. There's very few that will be able to move this fast, pump out this much damage, and be able to carry as much, and be this effective at what they do. Obviously not a resource harvesting dino, but even as a level 6, these stats are pretty awesome. The carry weight's already really good, health is really good. The stamina, it doesn't seem to have a lot, but at the same time it's really good on stamina, so it doesn't go through it very quickly either, so I really wouldn't worry too much about that. Your speed is awesome, your melee damage is great, the ability to jump. This climbing vertical objects like this applies to everything, so even in PvP you can climb up an enemy's wall with this, or up a base with it, and hop over it. That's pretty useful. Yeah, the Thylacoleo, kind of a jack of all trades, but definitely excels in like the killy ambush sort of tactics. I would definitely say if you haven't been using one of these guys to start using them. Like I said, they're probably one of the if not the best like mid-sized mounts as far as I'm concerned. Really the only downside with something like this is your inability to really, unless you level it specifically, is the inability to do a whole lot of damage in the water, and they don't necessarily move very fast in the water. So something like a Baryonyx might be a little bit better in the map department, but that would be the only thing that wouldn't make it like the end-all be-all mid-level creature as far as I'm concerned. Anywho, let's talk about going ahead and how to tame these guys and where to find them. Alright, Thylacoleo taming Usually these guys are going to be perched up on trees. You might be able to find them on the ground, but they'll be perched up on these trees, so you always want to be real careful in the redwoods. Because they'll ambush you, drop you, pinch you to the ground, and then try to kill you. You gotta stay a pretty good far away. So the nice thing about them being on a tree is if you catch them on a tree, you can build a pen, sort of like what we got going on fairly close by. Kind of surveying the area, make sure I don't get jumped by something else. But basically, we want to trank him. He's gonna fall off the tree and then come after us. You want to use a trank rifle. There he comes. Oh, actually, whoa, crap. There was another one. Oh, there's two. Oh, there's two. Okay. Alright. That was interesting. Well, the one that was on the tree is now over there. And now this one is right here. Anyway, I think you understood what we were doing. The idea is for the Thylacoleo to run up the stairs after us, chase us, but looks like we found another one instead. Anyway, now that they're stuck in here, you could just knock them out like this. It's a pretty straightforward situation. I totally did not see this one. I definitely did not see this one out of the corner. Wow. Okay. All right. Taming these guys, you got to watch them because their torpor does go down like super quick. So you want to make sure you're constantly putting narcs on them because they're going to get, torpor's going to go down really fast. They are carnivores, so they'll eat meat. Actually, the preferred meat is cooked mutton, not the regular mutton that you get from the ovis, but actually cooked and then give it to them. But if you're looking for the kibble solution, that's the extraordinary kibble. Just throw it in there. But again, you want to watch its torpor. The food doesn't go down terribly fast, but the torpor goes down insanely fast. So even with the low levels like this, like he's only level 4, and he's going to go through narcs really quickly. So kibble's probably your best bet, mainly because it's going to save you on narcotics in the long run. But anyway, the trap I was going to show you was this trap here. Basically a ramp up one side surrounded by doorways, a gate so I can get it out later on. And then yeah, it'll be up in a tree. Obviously, this kind of goes without saying. Leave me alone, ant. Leave me alone. Leave me alone! This goes without saying that the problem with the redwoods is that everything in here wants to kill you. Obviously. So this can be a little frustrating. So that's really one of the most dangerous things, plus the Thylacoleo in and of itself. If you're not paying attention, these things will jump out of the tree and just grab you and maul you to death, so definitely pay attention to where you're building. You can almost use the taming pen as a little fort too. If something was coming after me, I could always kind of jump in here and kind of save myself. Instances like this, it might even behoove you to make a bigger cage, something really big, maybe like 4 foundations wide. Mainly because I can hop in here if something tries to kill me and they can't get in there after me, so it gives me plenty of room where they can't like reach in and get to me. So maybe something a little bit wider might be a little bit smarter, but just for sake of kind of just to test this thing out, taming one of these guys on foot, this is what you're going to need. Now, if you're not doing this on foot and you have things like a Quetzal to just pick it up with, you can just pick them up. You can even stack them up. If you're smart, if you're slick about it, you can even grab them off of the trees so that you don't have to worry about that either. And you are going through dark stuff quickly. Just eat a kibble. But it's definitely one of those, pay attention to your surroundings and pay attention to the creature. So I feel like with a lot of our tames, it's either you want to pay attention to the creature because it's a really big threat, or you want to pay attention to the surroundings. The Thylacoleo, mainly because of where it typically spawns, you're dealing with both. This is a very easy creature to kill you. These guys can kill you pretty easily. And then everything else in the redwoods-ish area kind of wants to kill you too. You'll find them out in sandy biomes too. So Scorched Earth, you'll see them out there, and then Ragnarok on the Scorched Earth section of that, you'll see them in there too. You'll even see them sometimes in frozen areas, but predominantly places like redwoods, you're going to see them grab to the trees like this, ready to kill you. And there we go. He's tamed. We got a Thylacoleo. Fairly simple. I mean, it's a knockout tame, but it does require a little bit of finesse because of the amount of torpor this thing will go through very quickly. And then on top of that, really just the need to really pay attention to what's going on around you. Man, I'm still kind of shocked that you were just hanging out there, like, waiting for me. I'm assuming the other one ran off because it was close to getting knocked out. But anyhow, that's pretty much it. That's how we're going to tame it. Pretty easy. Standard taming trap. Like I said, obviously, if you have a flower, you can just build a big box and pick it off a tree and drop it somewhere safely and tame it. But again, we always like to try to do these on foot, bare bones, at least the bare minimum of what we would need to tame it. And also, the Thylacoleo saddle is unlocked at level 51. It does require a smithy to be built. You need fiber hide and metal bars to make it. Well, that's pretty much it as far as the taming goes. Do remember these guys are mammals. You can breed them. They are carnivores, so you can breed the crap out of them as well. I really enjoy the Thylacoleo. I know a lot of people that we currently play with. You guys know I usually play with SBD Raptor, and he absolutely loves these guys. I think they're, again, I can't stress enough how deadly these guys are for the size that they are. I think pound for pound, they're probably in their weight class, probably the best amount, period. Highly advise checking these guys out, trying them out at the very least. Also, the other thing I noticed is that the C attack, I don't know if it always did this, but your C key actually does like a cool roar now. I don't remember that being a thing all the time. That's a pretty cool little thing that they got going on. Anywho, that's the Thylacoleo. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that sub button, guys. I appreciate you hanging out. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all on the next one.